And we're back once again with the Lakers Fast Break podcast. It's Gerald Glassford. Thanks so much for joining us right here at the Lakers Fast Break Pop Culture Cosmos, where we cover the latest news and trends in pop culture each and every week, twice a week, wherever you get your podcast. Plus, also as well, Inside Sports Fantasy Football. Hopefully, you listened to ISFF because if you did, you might have won your league just like I did. So go ahead and check out our shows each and every time out at Inside Sports Fantasy Football. Plus, also as well, of course, go ahead and check us out with Joe Soro as Oxnard247 at LakersBall.com. He is the man behind that, and also Simblades and Simblades with the Y.com. And of course, our good friends Larry Lakers Dribbling Chit Chat, Daniel Berry Sports Highlights. A little bit of glitch. Sorry about that in the internet as far as the internet gremlins approached us, as far as took a little bite out of our software there. So I apologize, Mission 24, for that little jump start right there. But great to have you here. It is, of course, Gerald Glassford. Thanks so much for watching and listening. Truly appreciate it. Empire Jeff TV, he was on earlier tonight, so go ahead and always give him a big shout out while you're there. Lakers in 5, same thing. Larry Lakers Dribbling Chit Chat, and of course, John Costa's Lakers Corner right there as far as that's concerned. So go ahead and check out all those great channels right there, including John McCallions as well. Speaking of great channels, please subscribe and like us today to get the latest notifications on when we go live with the latest Lakers Fast Break podcast. Good evening, everyone. Hopefully, you've had a great 2024 so far. Looking forward to some great Lakers talk with you out there. We were going to go on regardless. I know that John is still doing the things that he needs to take care of in Toronto, so I wish him all the best, and hopefully he will be able to join us soon. I know that Joe Soros probably having a hangover from New Year's, from the Rose Bowl, and he was at the Rose Bowl right there for you. Adam, Mission 24, great to have you here. Welcome. It is the Lakers Fast Break. I want to go ahead and talk some Lakers as far as the news and speculation that's gone on. Zanger Sign says, hi guys, I'm on and off given that it's return to work week. Depends on the schedule of the games versus mine. Joe Soro is in the chat, the world, Chico, and everything in it. So glad to have you here. Hopefully, Joe will actually join me live on the air soon. Maybe not. We'll see. But hopefully you will join us here, or Z. Doesn't matter. Either which way. Just always glad to have you here at the Lakers Fast Break. It is Gerald Glassford. Thanks so much for watching and listening. Truly appreciate it. The world, Chico, and everything in it. Yes, spoken like Scott Hall indeed. But I will say with the Lakers at 17-17, now in 10th place. That's right. I said it. 10th place in the Western Conference. Things are not looking great for the Lakers, but they are going to have quite a few home games on the schedule for this month. So things can turn around in our favor. But when the Lakers are at this point, the speculation begins. The coach, as far as, yes, our future coach, Joe Soro. Thank you, Mission 24, for the super chat. Truly appreciate it. Joe Soro, the future coach of the Los Angeles Lakers. Hopefully he will be able to join us here soon. But Sukhoi, cool bro, glad to have you here as well. I do want to go ahead and mention that the Lakers at 17-17, they are 10th place in the Western Conference. So the speculation has run rampant. And not just at Laker Tom on Twitter or Laker Tom on Lakerholics.com, along with Jamie Sweet. The guys who were here yesterday did a great job. I know you want them back, and we'll try to get them back on as soon as they can, as soon as they're available to go ahead and do so. But you can find them at Lakerholics.com. Laker Tom is the #1 Lakers blogger that's out there. Always loves the trade speculation. Well, so many others have joined in that speculation. So I wanted to ask you out there today your thoughts on some definite yeses or some definite nos on players you would be interested in coming to the Lakers. So I want to hear your thoughts when I shout them out. If you are interested and you think there would be a player that could help the Lakers move forward and obviously become a contender once again in the Western Conference. And this all came about based off the comments on a recent podcast by none other than Lakers-hater, Celtics and Clippers lover Bill Simmons. The guy that has so much behind him in regards to all of his podcasting empire and all that. I will give him credit because he absolutely has been able to build an empire as far as that's concerned, as far as the ringer and all the sports issue things that he's created from it. So, got to give him credit for that. But I won't give him credit for much else because the fact is, as a Celtics lover, he's doing everything he can to go ahead and try to will a demise for the Lakers. And of course, his recent comments probably are the best example of that. And I'll explain why here in a sec. Because Cool Bro says, so, Gerald, I got some news. Yesterday, I tried talking to Zoe. I said, have you ever heard the tragedy of Dark Places? And I thought, yeah, cool, bro. If you actually walked up to her and told her something like that, yeah, that was probably not the best thing to say to her. Yeah. Unfortunately, PMC Bill Simmons is still lurking around somewhere as far as the Ringer's concerned. He still has his show and whatnot. But recently, he made the comments on one of his podcasts in regards to Draymond Green and how he thinks Draymond Green would be a great fit for the Lakers and that the Lakers should trade Austin Reaves for Draymond Green. And when upon reading that article, because I don't actually listen to his podcast, when reading his article, I can't believe I said this out loud, as loud as I did, but I screamed, hell no, to that. Exactly, Zangerstein. I know we may all be mixed on our opinions on Austin Reaves, whether or not he's untouchable. We'll go ahead and talk about here in a little bit. But also here today is Joe Sorrow, aka Oxide 247, the future coach for the Los Angeles Lakers, according to Mission 24. Thank you again for the super chat. So, yes, I heard noted Laker hater and Clippers and Celtics lover Bill Simmons say this on a podcast, according to an articles that were shared around and whatnot, about Austin Reaves he thinks should be traded for Draymond Green, which really got me to the point where I wanted to create this episode today based off of players who we say yay, maybe, or hell no to it. For me, Draymond Green, even though at the time, a couple weeks ago, or actually it was almost a month ago, when Laker Tom, Joe, was his first guy off the list on his trade targets was Draymond Green. I thought he was absolutely nuts. Your thoughts on Draymond Green? I always love it when you talk about Draymond Green because it always gets a little snipey. Your thoughts, though, on Draymond Green? I think it's a hell no for Austin Reaves or anyone else for him to come to the Lakers.
The only difficult part about doing this show, and as surprising as this might be to those who listen, I'm only at 50% max on this show. I'm actually quite much more brutal in real life. And it's not the brutal nature of like I'm calling a Draymond Green worse names, attacking his existence, family, friends, ancestors, none of that. It's that's not the brutalness of it. That's easy. I don't know Draymond Green. I don't see him face to face. The hard part is your fellow constituents, your friends, your family that hear the truth. Because those people are here. Those people are in your face. That's the part that's tough for people to do. So you have a lot of people who have family issues, friend issues. Well, when you're brutally honest, you tend to have less issues because it's either a severance or it's people who understand. So in the Draymond situation, and the fact that Tom keeps talking about Draymond Green, the difference between me responding to Tom here and responding to Tom off air are two different things. It's hard. It's hard to hold back. But I'm gonna drop a little bit of reality here. because I don't know. I think this subject keeps coming up, and the only way to diffuse it is to start dropping some massive reality to it. Anyone, Bill Simmons, Laker Tom, anyone who suggests that Draymond Green should be traded here, let alone, and this was the igniter for me, for Austin Reaves, you should turn in your brain for science and teach a class called Stupid 101. Literally teach a class in college called Stupid 101. Have your brain in a jar in that class. And then part of the curriculum is you have to dissect that stupid brain. And you could put on that brain suggested Draymond Green for Austin Reaves in a trade. And it's going to be very difficult for you to convince me you're not stupid. Now, did I say Ben Simmons? I'm sorry, Bill Simmons. In Bill Simmons' case, Bill has an interesting brain. He's a massive hater, understandably. He's a Celtic. He's also a massive troll, and he's stupid. So he would be, if there was a pyramid of stupid jars of brains, there'd be 3 on the bottom. Laker Tom would be one of the 3 on the bottom. You'd have a couple more on top. You can put whomever you want there. And then you put Bill Simmons on the top. And then that's the one. That's the final exam. And then at that point, maybe you learn something. How are you going to convince me that the fact that you bring up something that stupid, that I'm going to take you seriously in anything in life? I know sports is mundane, it's entertainment. But to me, you want to know what sports is about, you should have been with me last night at the Rose Bowl. Sports does things to people. It's not mundane. I was with at least 50,000 Michigan fans celebrating like we were family. I'm not a Michigan fan, but my family is. And the electricity in that arena, that stadium, can't be duplicated in a opera, in a fundraiser, funeral, wedding. Sports matters. Sports does things to that dopamine or that feeling, whatever it is. And at this point, explaining the topic and the fact that it's even a topic it's got to be called what it is: utter useless stupidity. And it's going to be very hard for me to take you seriously in anything. We make dumb mistakes. We make we do make mistakes. We're human beings. But when you're actually sitting there and trying to explain this like it's logical, I'm going to just sit there and just stare at you and wait for you to finish and then call you stupid. Because that's what that is. Why in Sam hell would you want Draymond Green on this team? This team is already mentally fragile. Draymond Green is a clown. He has been a clown, had talent, will probably go to the Hall of Fame because any second-rate, third-rate player these days is going to the Hall of Fame. So, what is next? What logical, coherent options are there? We talked about this. There isn't. That's why you have to bring up something so stupid. We don't have any logical options at this point. The system doesn't allow you to have a chance at that. You have to either give up your internal organs and risk your future to win now or you ride the ship, or you right the ship, I should say. So where do we go from here? What are we going to really do? We need to talk about that. Give me some logical stuff. I know a lot of people out there on social media, they just type. They just type their feelings, right? They just type. And you know how I know we hit a nerve on our last show? You've heard me say it, Gerald.
Yep.
Hit a nerve, hit a target. Why? After that show, when I called out all you mother effing keyboard warriors, and they're everywhere. Why? When I call you mother effers out on that show, all of a sudden we get venom in emails saying, I don't know this, you don't know that, and completely lying about what we said. We didn't even say the stuff they said we said. Did I say? I mean, at this time last year, we talked about it. I had predicted that the Denver Nuggets were going to meet the Miami Heat in the finals. And we were in a position last year around this time that the Lakers were looking terrible. Why would I say the Lakers were going to beat Denver in the end of December? When did I say that?
You said in the Western Conference Finals.
Now, I picked the Lakers to beat Denver when the Lakers made it to the Western Conference Finals.
Mm-hmm. He took two of your statements and combined it into one, basically. Okay. During that.
Well, I'm a Laker fan. The Lakers were on a roll. I thought maybe Denver might. And I even said on our shows afterwards, I said I kind of played it out. I talked myself into thinking Denver had some weaknesses. They didn't. At the end of the day, my first prediction during the summer was correct. But I'm going to pick the Lakers to win regardless. That's not going to change. The Lakers could be an 8 seed playing the greatest team of all time. I'm still going to pick them to win because that's the point. There's a difference. You want to call me stupid? You want to call me dumb and delusional? For that one, I'll give you that one. But that's how that plays out. But
by the way, that individual, you want me to give that name of that guy?
I don't care. No, I don't need his name. Need to know his
name.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. I don't give a crap. Okay. This is going to be a regular occurrence. It's not like this is going to be.
I'm going to keep on calling out that loser. So I'm just going to say
I prefer not to.
He had issues with you and Z, and that I take.
Yeah, and that's probably where a lot of my return venom is. If you're going to pick on somebody like Zangerstein. I'm sorry, my nephew is Xander, so it got mixed up for a second there. Oh, no if you're gonna pick on Zangerstein, you're gonna have problems because I'm gonna wreck you inside out. And if you're listening right now, you don't pick on people who aren't doing anything wrong. Okay, you don't like the cut of my jib, you don't like the way I talk. You can destroy me all you want, but not everybody has. Perfect internet, okay? She's in the Philippines. She's doing her best to try to connect with people out here in Vegas and in California. If you're gonna sit on your whatever internet you have, your 5G, 4G, 3G, whatever that you have stuck up your ass, understand that not everybody has the nice things that maybe you do have. We love Z. We love her input. We like how she sounds. And if you don't like how she sounds, you can suck my ass. How about that? Maybe you'll like that sound better.
Once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is Joe Soro, aka Ox1947 at LakersBall.com, along with me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks so much again for watching and listening. So, Joe, I think you and I are in agreement that not only is he a no, but Draymond Green is a hell no for us as far as getting him back here with the Lakers, and that would be no way in shape or form trading for, whether it's for Austin Reaves or anybody. I just simply do not want him a part of our team. Absolutely would really lose a lot of face as an organization in my eyes if that's the case. Mission 24, cool bro. We had a Facebook user a couple days ago, shortly after the new year here in on the West Coast. He is from overseas and decided to go ahead and say some disparaging things about Joe and Z. And yeah, I retorted back to him, and we will make it a mission. We will not forget. So cool, bro. I understand that your channel, you said, has gotten a little bit of hate. again, you can either ignore it, like what Star Wars Theory told you, or you can come and attack them like we do here at the Lakers Fast Break. So it's your choice. But then again, for a 14-year-old boy who doesn't have that many resources, I would just say stay low, but remember them if you get big. Remember each and every one of those haters before when you get big. Just that's all I'll say, because you can shout them out then.
The haters are fuel. They're the fuel. Uh, I don't think about haters, but they're fuel. They're fuel to the fact that they are oblivious to the fact that they give the show credibility when they talk nonsense. If you come at us with legitimate logic and we're wrong, we're going to prop you up and tell you, you know what? Damn, that's a good point. I'm wrong. You're right. But if you're going to come in straight up with your, what's this person have with their audio and who are they? She sounds like this and this guy doesn't know anything. At that point, you're not real. You're a poser. You're just yapping. The yap. You're just yapping to give attention to yourself because you probably live a miserable existence. Because you'd never say that in person. You'd probably walk around the room playing with your nuts and waiting for us to leave. Then maybe you'll talk some smack behind our back. That's what most people do. Most people are cowards. They don't talk face to face. They don't look you in the eye. You know, you want to look somebody in the eye and tell them how you feel if you're really passionate about it. That's how you do it. That's what a real man does. You look somebody in the eye and you tell them. But the problem with that is, what are you really telling them? How are you telling the truth? Like, what are you telling them? Draymond Green for Austin Reaves. You come up to me in any room, any chat room, virtual or not, and you're like, Draymond Green for Austin Reaves. I'm going to tell you right now, the first look you're going to get is this. And then if you really want a response, you're like, Joe, I would like your opinion. Can you speak it to me? You're stupid. The end. Period. Come on, Joe. You know, he plays defense and he's got fire. No, he doesn't have fire. He likes to kick people in the nuts all the time. He likes to choke people. He likes to cost his team championships. Plus, he's a fake tough guy. You know, Rodman was a somewhat of a fake tough guy. He was obnoxious. But he was stupid too. So I don't know why the comparisons between Rodman and Draymond are so used so much. I'm like, he was an idiot too. The reason why he was able to get through it was because he had the black cat on his team who dealt with it. And Phil Jackson, the master psychologist, they were able to get through it. But plus, I don't remember Dennis Rodman doing stupid stuff when it mattered. You know, he kicked the cameraman in the nuts or in the upper thigh, during a regular season game. So what? But this guy has a knack of continuing to do stupid stuff, especially at the worst times. Plus, I just think he's a different person than Dennis Rodman. I just think Draymond Green's a punk. And I'm waiting for somebody to punk him back. And unfortunately, no one is doing it. So it's going to have to be Adam Silver basically keeping him out. I don't know.
So let me ask you this, my friend. I made a list of players in regards to your interest level, yay, nay, or maybe. It just let me know. And welcome, Kurt, Div X-Ray. Great to have you here. Also, as well, everybody, Adam and everybody else, Dante, truly appreciate you joining us. It is the Lakers Fast Break. So I ask you, my friend, let's start off with Golden State, since we're both definite no's for Draymond Green. I think two players, and first of all, Klay Thompson, yes, we would be interested in it, but he's $43 million. And it would take currently with the Lakers roster, if you're not trading Anthony Davis or LeBron James, you would probably take three players in order to get Klay Thompson on this team. a package for that. And I'm not sure you would really seriously want to give up 3 Lakers players for Klay Thompson, who's been playing better, but yeah, not to that level where he's going to replace 3 of the Lakers' current rotation on there. So yeah, I don't think that's a possibility. I think he's just out of reach monetarily. But let me ask you this: how does Andrew Wiggins or Kevon Looney sound to you? Yay, nay, or maybe?
Wiggins will probably bother us just as much as anyone else on the team. He has a focus issue. He's not a bust, but he's a bust number 1 overall pick.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't invest that kind of focus on someone who's not focused. Looney is a lateral move, especially for what you probably have to trade for him. The Lakers need 2 things. One is a consistent game in and game out scorer, whether it's off the bench or a starter. Just someone who can score, who's a scorer. Number 2, they need a backup big. Someone that can really keep things leveled while AD sits. You do those 2 things and LeBron and AD stay healthy going into the playoffs, you have a shot. It's going to still be difficult, but you'll have a shot. Right now, we're losing these close games because we don't have that third guy that we can depend on. We have guys that are dependent, that are coming through in spurts. And then on top of that, you have the inefficiency of the offense or any kind of coherent play to get you a point when you need it.
So let me ask you this. I'm just going to run down a few names, and you just tell me what your interest level on them. The Atlanta Hawks players we've been talking about lately.
Yeah, I'll take
Capella, Murray, or Bogdanovich.
The dream would be Capella and Murray in a package, but you'd probably have to give up Austin Reaves in that deal, which it sort of starts becoming a lateral move at that point. If you can get Capella and Murray without giving up Austin Reaves, that would change everything. That would give us a shot. I really, really believe that. That's exactly what we would need. So it would have to be something where Atlanta gives us a little kind of a front loan. Rob would have to say, look, if you ever need a third team in a trade in the future, I guarantee you I'll help you. Give us Capella, give us Murray for these guys. You clear up cap space. We get the guys we want. You guys get a chance to rebuild, and if you need something, we can hook you up later for whatever you want. I don't care how many second-round picks. I don't care what facilitations you need. We'll help you out. Other than that, I don't know how else that deal can happen.
So let me ask you this. Brooklyn has been in a couple articles recently. Royce O'Neal and Dorian Finney-Smith. I don't think they move the needle far enough to really advance your team for what they would want to go ahead and ask for.
Probably not. Dinwiddie, the name kind of sometimes will stick a little bit.
Dinwiddie too.
Dinwiddie.
Well. He's not having a greatest year. Let's just put it out. He's okay. Doing all right, but not great.
Dinwiddie was the guy that I thought maybe a couple of years back. But I think that's run its course. I don't think he would be a difference maker.
I will say, let me say this was as far as it's concerned. The Charlotte Hornets, several players on the roster, including Hayward, Rozier, PJ Washington, who Sean likes, Cody Martin, and Nick Richards have been names that have been thrown out and bandied about there in various social media trade reports.
Hayward is done. PJ Washington, Rozier definitely would help. Again, if you're going to make that trade, you're going to need to make sure that Austin Reaves is in the package. Otherwise, it becomes a lateral move or maybe even worse.
Let me go ahead and go to one of our favorite talking points in the recent weeks. Chicago. Patrick Williams, Alex Caruso, DeMar DeRozan, and Zach LaVine, who it is reported that will be back on the court in about a week, maybe 2 weeks' time. It looks like between there, as far as his foot problems, his foot soreness seems to be somewhat alleviated and should be back on the court real soon.
Zach LaVine is a no-go because I don't think Genie's going to pick up that contract for 3 more years. The only way that deal happens, and again, I haven't had a chance to really dissect the CBA and the NBA. The new CBA is in effect now, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so I haven't had a chance to really investigate kind of the new stuff. And again, you're not going to read all 400,000 pages of that, but at least the stuff that the high points that you need to know. Can the NBA, can an NBA team pay some of the salary is the question. They do that in baseball. I don't know if they can do that in basketball. I'd like to know that. Unless Chicago, if it's allowed, can take up some of that contract, which I doubt they would. Then I'd say, okay, you might have a good shot at getting Zach LaVine. I know he's injured. I know there's some issues there, but I have a really strong feeling if Zach LaVine ended up being the third guy with LeBron and AD, I'd see a mental change with Zach LaVine and probably be available more. DeRozan is on his expiring contract. I don't see any reason for Chicago to trade him unless they're getting a good draft haul on that. Lonzo Ball, if the reports are true that he's going to be difficult to come back from his injury, I know he did some social media stuff a few months back where he's saying that he's going to be back, but let's just say Chicago doesn't believe him and wants to get rid of that remaining $21 million left on his contract next year that he'll likely pick up. Then he'd have to be put into a package likely if the Lakers wanted to get Alex Caruso. That right there is what's been on my mind the last couple months. If the Lakers wanted to get Alex Caruso back, which would be a huge upgrade. He's not the third scorer. He's not the big that we need, but he is that stability at the perimeter on defense and a guy that can hit timely shots and is a hell of a chemistry guy. And he's already won a title with us. That could be big, but I believe if the Lakers said, look, we'll take on Lonzo's contract, throw in Alex, I think they might look at that one and say yes. But that's my guess. I can't guarantee it, but that would be my guess. Now, if they wanted to do a DeMar DeRozan, Alex Caruso, and Lonzo Ball trade, then you'd probably say, okay, I think I'm willing to risk throwing Austin Reaves in there. And that would be more of an incentive for Chicago to make that trade because I think they'd be happy to get someone that's productive like Austin Reaves and is on the come up still. Then now you're basically playing to win the championship right this year. Like you're almost throwing your chips in saying, if we win a championship this year, then the trade is great and we'll deal with the consequences after that.
So let me ask you this coming up on as far as other players. Let's go over to Cleveland. Darius Garland, Max Strus, and George Niang. George Niang and Max Strus recently signed, but the fact is Cleveland's right now right around the 500 mark. So those players haven't really done well for them. So they might be looking for a little bit of buyer's remorse. But Darius Garland is the player who might be thought of because, again, he has not propelled Cleveland into a higher status because they also have to deal with Mitchell's big contract as well in the not too distant future.
Yeah,
if they want to resign him, which they probably won't because he's heading to New York by most reports.
I'd say the Cleveland Cavaliers are probably, in my book, the biggest disappointment this year. They had a squad that was really coming into its own. I don't know what happened this year. I don't know if game planning changed their focus. I don't know if them getting paid made them relax. I don't know if the fear of Donovan Mitchell leaving is a problem, even though he still has 2 more years left, or at least this year and next year. I don't know. I don't know what's going on in Cleveland. I don't know if it's a coaching issue. I would like to think it's not. I mean, it's like a redundant thing with every team and every sport. It's the coach. Is it the coach? Is it the coach? And it's the coach. Well, okay. Who are you going to get besides JB Bickerstaff that's going to, bring this team up to another level? I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know what's going on there. And at this point, I don't know if they would be willing to make a deal this quick for Darius Garland. I wouldn't. This guy's got immense talent.
$34 million on the books, and that's
it's weird.
Several years.
Yeah, as weird as that sounds, that's actually a bargain. I just want to know what's wrong with his game. What's the
because right now his game has not been worth $34 million. I'm just going to say that out loud.
Yeah.
5 years, my friend. 5 years on the books for him. Still
and again, I would say if I was to have if I would have, let's say, a choice, let's say if I was to hope for a trade and Cleveland feels like, you know what, we need to drop some salaries. We need to kind of maybe figure this thing out. I mean, ideally, to solve our problems, I would love to do some kind of a Jared Allen and Karis LeVert type trade. I think that would be something that would help.
LeVert's like a love it or hate him player. He's just
And
there's
and
no in between with him. You either love him or you hate him.
and
I'm leaning a little bit the other way. I'll just say that word.
I'm trying to be
He's a very
realistic.
frustrating player to watch.
I know, and I'm trying to be realistic here too. Obviously, I would love to get Jared Allen and Donovan Mitchell. If Donovan Mitchell is going to tell Cleveland or has hinted in any way that he is leaving after next year, I don't know. Cleveland is an interesting place. I don't. It's kind of cool looking at it from our perspective. We're not Cavs fans. We're NBA fans. I'd say that's one of the more interesting teams to follow here in the next year and a half, because it could be completely flipped. And it would be kind of a sad flip considering what they were building. They were building a balanced team. They had good guards. They had a good big men, young guys that could jump out the building. You had a young coach who seemed to have gotten the message to them, but for some reason, something stopped. Something messed up their focus.
I'm laughing because Angerstein says Jared Allen, if you get him in a trade with Karis LeVert, would make up for LeVert's inconsistencies. And why isn't he doing it now in Cleveland? They're barely above 500, just like the Lakers. So
we also have to factor in, sometimes you got to look at particular talent and how it's going to work with someone like a LeBron and an AD. So imagine having Jared Allen and AD in the front court. That changes the dynamic of the team. And then you have LeBron and LeVert. You know, LeVert's going to likely have better games playing with those guys than he would in Cleveland in terms of how his game works. Now, it could work the other way too. I know the pressure of LA could mess him up, but this is more of, we don't really have a choice. We can't go get Kyrie, you know, a guard that we know can handle the big lights. I'm sorry, but we're trying to be realistic here. What is the likelihood of Cleveland picking up the phone after Rob texts the Cleveland brass? What is the likelihood of them picking up the phone? Is Gainsey going to say on the text, Mike Gainsey's going to say, "Are you serious?" and reply with a happy face? Rob would be like, "Yeah, I'm serious. What would you want?" I'm sure that Austin Reaves would be in that package, but LeVert and Allen would not. Again, we're going back to that lateral move again if you do that.
So let me ask you this then. When it comes to other teams out there, Detroit, everybody's everybody's favorite team, Detroit basketball, the team that just lost 28 in a row. You've got Bogdanovich, Harris, Bagley III, and Wiseman as the most common names that are being tossed around in trades, various trades, whether it's the Lakers or other places. Your thoughts on any of the Detroit players, my friend?
Oh boy, I'm gonna throw one out here. Again, I don't. Okay, so what does this team need?
Quite a bit.
What does it really need? What is it hurting right now?
Perimeter
what
defense,
is always
shooting,
hurting?
backup big man.
What is the one thing they're always hurting at?
Shooting.
So at the top of the Detroit list of realistic players is Bojan, yeah. Bojan Bogdanovich and Joe Harris. Both are making $20 million this year each. What would it take to entice Detroit to trade those two guys, what would they want? 2 first-round picks, 3 first-round picks? What?
Well, again, like was said in our chat, that Washington is looking to get some first round picks back for their guys. And outside of Kuzma, I don't see any of their players getting a first round pick. When it comes to Detroit, they have played so poorly. I don't think that any of their players, their elder statesmen like Joe Harris or the Bogdanoviches of the world, will even get a first round draft pick at this point in time. Maybe Bogdanovich, but I doubt it. Has to be a late first at the most right now. I mean, you can't lose 28 games in a row and expect to have the same trade value.
No, not at all. And that's why that becomes a realistic trade should Detroit want to get some kind of draft capital. Because you're going to have a free agent in Joe Harris. Are you bringing him back? Probably not.
He'll probably be waived if he doesn't get moved to the trade deadline.
Does Joe Harris give this team enough shooting to have value? I would say yes, at least off the bench.
I'm just telling you right now, if he does not get moved by the trade deadline, then he will be waived and he'll be available and out there as
so he becomes the. What does he become? He becomes the buyout guy.
Yeah, he becomes a buyout guy. If he does not get moved by the deadline, I can tell you right now, since he doesn't have, this is his last year on his contract, he'll most likely be waived, so he can go ahead and join a team that's going to contend for a title.
So is he a product of of the surrounding talent that Detroit has?
Possibility. I mean, you play better when you're around better players, around a better team.
Because my question is, this is a person that's been shooting just under 30% from downtown. But and even with that, granted, he's only played 12 games. Granted, with that percentage, that low of a percentage, he's still a lifetime 43% three-point shooter. And he played 74 games last year for Brooklyn. So he's also shot 47% from three in a couple occasions in his career. And he played substantial in those games. He played 76 and 69 games in those years. He shot 47% from three. Does he become that guy that can help off the bench with threes? I guess that's the question, right?
That is the question. But yeah, just throwing it out there. And when it comes to Bagley and Wiseman, you know that they'll want to try to pawn them off on anybody as far as those big guys that have underwhelmed and become draft busts. Somebody else, they're going to try and get the other teams to think, oh yeah, maybe you can try, maybe your team can actually get them to actually play basketball.
Or is he Jason Capona when he gets into a Laker uniform?
Exactly. So could be Cam Reddish. Could be Cam Reddish. The other way around. You look at it the other perspective.
Here's the end game here. Unless the Lakers get some kind of perfect third player like Murray out of Atlanta, unless they get somebody like that, they're likely going to have to risk something for someone that they hope will play well on this team that's playing relatively well, probably. But they're either good, but that's based off if it works, they're geniuses. If it doesn't work, they're the biggest jackasses in sports. There is no clear path here. There's going to have to be some kind of risk. And that risk is huge if it doesn't work. And it's very likely it'll go that way. It's a small window that they'll have a chance of coming up and winning the double zero on a roulette table.
So let me ask you this. There's the old standby for Laker Tom. The players that Laker Tom has been wanting to trade for now for well over a year, and that is the Miles Turner, Buddy Hield. I threw in TJ McConnell on various times. combo that you want, if you're interested in that. Your thoughts, will that ever get done? I think that one of those three, or not two of those three, possible. I don't think all three. I don't think they'll keep Miles Turner, but I think two of those three players will be traded before the deadline happens, because Indiana, in their current state, they're a nice team, good story, good up tempo offense, but they don't really have the players to get it done.
I don't see any point unless they get a first round pick for Buddy Hield and they don't want to win, which doesn't look like that's what they want to do. I don't see how they're going to trade Buddy Hield. I don't. There's no sense in that. And the reason why they trade Miles Turner is if they don't want to pay him the remaining $20 million next year, which I don't see why that would be a problem. They are the least paying team in the league. They're last in team payroll, so we know that they're trying to manage that. They have a team option on Bruce Brown, which in my opinion has been but I already knew Bruce Brown wasn't going to be like this next level guy in Indiana. I think that's probably why he only got a 2-year deal. What does Indiana do? What do they want to do this offseason is going to be the decision on what they want to do next. I don't see any point in getting rid of a legitimate starting center in Miles Turner. Now, if Miles Turner wants a max deal, maybe that changes things. I don't know. I don't believe,
because he's not worth a max deal.
But the thing is, G, is most of these guys are not worth a max deal, but the market with the right timing will allow them to make max money. Plus, NBA teams have to pay a certain amount of money to fulfill the obligations of the collective.
You got to stay above the
collective bargaining. Now, what they might want to do is they might like Mathurin enough to where they're like give him an extension, and then that kind of defeats that. And obviously, Halliburton's money goes from almost $6 million this year to almost $36 million next year, and he's going to be getting paid max money for the next 3 years after that. So who do they want to build this team with? They are going to keep Halliburton. They're going to be paying him for shooting until 28. You probably want to keep Miles Turner because you got that big that can shoot and play some defense. You're probably not going to keep Buddy Hield. And maybe you want to see a little bit more of Benedict. And if he continues to improve, then he's going to be the guy that plays with Tyrese. And then you have a Miles Turner, Mathurin, Tyrese, Halliburton, and then you kind of go from there. I don't see how there's benefit unless they want draft capital for these guys. I don't.
Yeah, Hield, McConnell though are in our last years, so they'll be free agents,
and they're going to let those die out. Well, McConnell has another year on his contract next year, so if they were going to trade,
he's 1 year. He's done.
You sure?
It says 1 year on ESPN Trade Machine. I'll look it up.
I think he has another. I think he has another year in 25.
I'll take a look right now. Yeah. Go ahead, my friend. Continue.
Yeah.
I'll look at his contract.
So and then you got Obi Toppin. I don't know, guys. I really don't know. Indiana's.
You are correct. Even though ESPN said 1 year, it is partially guaranteed.
I highly recommend you go to Hoops Hype. I know ESPN is terribly run when it comes to these type of things.
Yeah, I go to Sport Track. Sport Track for the final word on the contract.
Yeah, that's good too. The ESPN trade tracker is great though.
Well, that was the trade machine I was going off of with the one.
But the problem with that is you can't trade draft capital with that machine. It's got to be player to player, so you can't really judge that stuff either. I don't know, man.
It's a $5 million guarantee.
There used to be a little bit of excitement when Mitch Kupchak was the GM, in that Mitch had a habit of doing things very stealthy. When you heard that there was a rumor of something, those trades usually never went through. But what ended up happening was when you heard the trade went through, a trade went through for the Lakers, came out of nowhere, i.e. Trevor Ariza, i.e. Pau Gasol. It's those type of things, or even an acquisition. Ron Artest at the time Despite the stories of him going in the shower and all that, you didn't really hear that until after he signed. He came out of nowhere after people were kind of sad that Trevor Ariza's agent was being a, Scott Boras type. And I want to thank Trevor Ariza and that agent, whoever he was. I can't remember who it was. I said, if that deal does not work out that way, I don't believe the Lakers beat the Celtics in 2010, because if you don't have Ron Artest on Paul Pierce in that final, the Lakers are losing that series.
So we go on to the next team that I have in mind right here, as far as players who've been bandied about the Lakers way in various articles and social media outlets. Toronto Raptors, who just made a trade, the OG Anunoby trade. I think that they got the better of it with Emmanuel Quickley and yes, RJ Barrett as well. How about Gary Trent, or a return by one Dennis Schroeder, who a couple members of our audience have really been clamoring for and who miss him very much?
Why would any trade happen there?
Gary Trent Jr. would be probably of anybody, just asking that. But Dennis Schroeder is someone who obviously they signed. They thought they gave him a tryout as their starter. They liked it so much they traded for Emmanuel Quickley, and so now he's the backup coming off the bench.
So here's how this would work. Are you ready?
Okay.
Masai, we want Gary Trent Jr. What do you want for it? Hi, thanks for calling. I want 2 first-round picks for Gary Trent Jr.
Who's
Rob,
not even a starter on their team.
Right. Rob saying, and then Rob responds with, okay, thank you very much. I'll, have a good day.
Okay.
That's how that discussion would go.
Now, he didn't get a first-round pick for OG Anunoby.
I know that the Lakers did a deal with Danny Ainge. But I don't talk to Danny Ainge or to Masai ever.
Okay.
They're a waste of space and a waste of time.
Okay.
And they will continue to live off trades that they were involved with that were handed to them. And they will continue to have this cooked up fantasy analyzation of how great they are on it.
Okay.
You look at Rob Pelinka, for example. Rob Pelinka was the GM of the Lakers when they won in 2020. Who did he get that turned the Lakers into a dead team to a championship team in 2020?
As far as Marc Gasol?
No one. He didn't get anyone. So sometimes that happens. And he's in the same boat. All 3 of them are in the same boat. They didn't really make any trade that changed the course of a championship team. You want to talk about Presti? You want to talk about those types? Yes, those guys are changing things. But Presti still needs to win. Presti made a massive mistake letting Harden go. And I remember at that point, I knew that
maybe it wasn't his call.
Maybe it wasn't, but he's in charge of that. And
I'm just saying, maybe it's the owner's call that did.
If it was the owner's call, but that's a resume destroyer. So I hope I think it would have come out by now that it was an owner's call.
Okay.
But I don't believe that. I don't believe it was an owner's call, because they were paying Kevin Martin the same amount of money a year later. So that didn't make sense to me. Okay. You're going to make a lot more money signing Harden at that time and keeping the championship team together, possible championship team together, and then you're going to make more money in merchandise and championship gear and all that. So if these guys are all smart businessmen, you would think that they'd think about that, because they would have wanted. They would have been a problem for the Golden State Warriors in their championship run. I believe the Warriors would have 2 less championships had that team stuck together at the very least.
So I've got other names on the list. Let's go to Washington again, who was mentioned in our chat as far as wanting first-round picks. The only first-round pick that I think conceivably a player who could get or yield a first-round draft pick would be Kyle Kuzma. I think that's the only individual that people would be, or other teams would be interested in to get that. So, what about other players like Tyus Jones, Daniel Gafford? Obviously an apple of Laker Tom's eye, as he mentioned yesterday on the show. And Landry Shamet. I know Landry Shamet is still on the books for quite some time, but he is a shooter and has been mentioned, and probably someone that the Washington Wizards will probably want to dump on somebody at some point in time.
I could see a deal with Washington because they are actually a good trade partner. They've been good in terms of communication and being able to get some things done. And I know that Washington does look at LA as, hey guys, thanks for the Westbrook trade. That helped us out a lot.
All the ex-Lakers that have gone there.
the return favor, unfortunately, doesn't bear a lot of juicy fruit. Kuzma, for what he gives, I mean, I guess it could work, but we need a guard if you're going to trade D'Angelo Russell. That's the problem there. So are you going to get Tyus Jones and a Kuzma deal? Problem with that is you got to cover $40 million in contracts. You're going to have to put Austin Reaves in that deal, and then you're screwed. Now you have to. Now it's probably less of a. It's even worse than a lateral move. You actually get probably worse.
How about Utah then? Also mentioned by Laker Tom, he has a fascination for Kelly Olynyk and Jordan Clarkson returning back to the Lakers.
Okay, why would they trade Jordan Clarkson to the Lakers? And what do you think Danny's going to want for that?
He's going to want some first because Clarkson is
going to want at least
playing all right.
2. And we have to take on. Well, he's not getting paid a lot of money. I think his highest number is this year, and then it starts to go down in the next couple of years, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Kelly would be the ideal backup center-ish. He can shoot, is feisty. Yes, perfect backup center. Perfect. Problem is he's on a last season's contract. Why would they get rid of him? Now you're going to need 3 first-round picks. If you call Utah and give them 3 first-round picks and send them D'Angelo and whatever package you can.
Maybe.
But I don't know if that – I mean, you're not giving up 3 freaking first-round picks for those guys. Come on. Do they want Rui, D'Angelo, and a first-round pick for those guys? And why? All right, why would they trade both for 1 first-round pick?
Yeah,
that's the question. I'm not saying that. I think that's fair, but I don't think Danny Ainge would think it's fair because Danny Ainge is a jackass. He wants too much all the time.
Wants to win the trade. I know that somebody
so winning the trade is winning the battle. So many people, not just NBA GMs, not just Danny Ainge or Masai Ujiri. So many people are interested in winning the battle to the point where they lose the war. That is stupid. That is a stupid way to do business. Don't do that. Your job is to win the war. Your job is to win a championship. So you make a trade sometimes that might not work in the trade for you all the way. Maybe you might even be even, God forbid. But the point is to win the war. I don't get that. I don't know if those guys get it.
Once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. Thanks so much for joining us. It is Joe Soro, aka Ox1947 from LakersBall.com, and me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks so much for watching and listening. Big shout out to our Facebook viewers and Facebook followers. We've gotten 6 tonight already as far as following us on Facebook tonight, including Wala Kanang, Babalakan. Appreciate you joining us as far as following us as well here at the Lakers Fast Break. Now that you are following us, just like if you subscribe here on YouTube, you get the latest notifications of when we go live on the air with the latest Lakers Fast Break. Div X-Ray says Masai Ujiri only got lucky to get Kawhi because San Antonio wanted to send him to the worst place possible for Kawhi. That is like the Mavs fans saying what a great deal they made to get Kawhi. He fell to us. So, or get Kai. As far as it's concerned, that's he felt to us. So I don't know. I guess at this point, like you said, it's just about with Danny always got to win the trade. But How does New Orleans, which was given a shout out in our chat, I mean, outside of Jonas Valanciunas, who would they really want to trade at this point in time? I would like Jonas. Jonas, obviously a big body, could bang around there, get pressure off AD, but he only has, I think, what around a Rui Hashimura level contract, 16 million, 17 million, that range for a year left before he becomes a free agent. Not too bad, but I don't think New Orleans is in the position that they want to go ahead and trade away to get worse. They're in a way to go ahead and trade to get better.
Yeah, the New Orleans are going to try to make a run here.
Mhm.
Their concern here at the beginning of the year was.
Oh, I like Jonas. I definitely like Jonas. He can
Yeah,
stretch the floor.
he's on his last contract. I don't. Again, are you going to drop 3 first-round picks to get him? No. I don't even know if they take 2. Maybe, but why would you do that and take an integral part of your team away from a team that's trying to win? You have Zion Williamson, who at this point is making you happy.
Well, Diver X-Ray says no. He thinks they'll shop Zion at some point, to be honest.
I don't think that's going to be the case.
If he has another major injury, maybe, but not yet. Not yet.
And who's going to take him on? Whoever takes him on is going to need to give back something of substance. But I don't know. I don't. New Orleans is playing to win it, and when you're playing teams to win it, trades like that matter for a team that's trying to get better are usually just not.
Yeah, that's why I'm not including Div X-Ray teams like Miami or OKC, because yeah, they've got tons of draft capital.
Competing teams are not going to trade anything to a team like the Lakers.
Yeah, unless the Lakers start tanking.
Yeah, there's no way. Yeah, I'd say get that out of your mind. Any playoff team that's trying to make a run, even though we know New Orleans are going to win the championship, but the point is they're going to try. Those guys aren't making any trades. The trades that are going to make sense for both parties is the Lakers are going to want to get enough talent without giving up the talent that they have, the limited talent that they have, and obviously the limited amount of draft capital that they have. That's how this is going to work. Having relationships with these teams is going to likely play a huge factor too. Who's going to help the Lakers? Who's going to give them a little bit of the winning side of that trade? That's going to be a favor. Like I said, it's going to need to be some kind of a favor for it to work, because every scenario we've talked about tonight, it all looks like it's going to all go in a way where Lakers are going to have to do this. And if it's not that, it's not going to work. And it's going to need that arbitrator that says, whichever GM it is, all right, we'll give you a little bit of a cherry here. Just remember us next trade deadline when we need a third team to facilitate something because of this, and that.
I'm sure that goes over very well as far as Adam Silver's office. Arthur Johnson says, how about Gafford and Tyus Jones for D'Lo?
You can't police that, G.
Yeah, I know.
You can't really. That's like
when the league wants to confiscate your phones. That's where you get the burner phones in there. Yes.
Well, okay. If you'd have to hot mic. Like Adam would have to hot mic every GM's phone. I doubt he's going to be doing that. It's like trying to police a player trying to bring another player. That's the part that always kind of cracked me up about that. I'm like, okay, just tell LeBron to go talk to the guy. Here's what to say. Like, how are you going to police that? You can't.
Arthur Johnson with the super chat. Thank you so much for the super chat today. How about Gafford and Tyus Jones for D'Lo and Schifino? You probably have to throw in a pick there, but I know Laker Tom would like it. How about you, Joe? I don't know if it's a real game changer, but it does make the Lakers probably a little bit steadier.
If you do that trade, you're essentially saying you screwed up the draft and you have a player who's not going to be as good of a shooter as the guy you have, even though he is very, 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 very streaky.
Well, you and I both are pretty much convinced that we screwed up the draft this year.
Yeah, the draft was screwed up, and when we've talked about their assessment of free agents and second and late round picks, that's based off of where they're picking and where they are. They did well there. But in terms of picking the right guys that are going to make an impact, they let one go and they have one right now. It's like, okay, I mean, let's be real, okay? Taylor
Horton-Tucker, yeah.
Taylor Horton-Tucker did brilliant for where he was picked. You have to admit that it was able
second
to
round draft.
Right, fine, but he's not going to change your team dynamic. The other guy was Alex Caruso, was a free agent. Obviously, we know
undrafted. Yeah, he was actually with another NBA team.
But to me, you let him go, so now it's a moot point. You screwed up both those picks. Now you have Austin Reaves, and you have a coach who's now messing with him after messing with Rui for the first 2 months. So I don't know where this focus of putting certain guys in the doghouse is. It's weird. I'm watching Rui being the really only guy that I feel like sometimes, other than Austin, that when he shoots, I'm like, this is going in. It doesn't go in, but I feel like it's going to go in. Stroke is good. He's getting good elevation. He's got good size, good width, right? Why are these guys in the doghouse? Why aren't these guys getting more minutes? Well, Joe, Austin gets more tired and doesn't shoot as well, or he sucks on defense more the more minutes he plays. I'm like, okay, I'll buy that. But what are your alternatives? What's your alternatives? Prince? Prince can't play better. There's statistics saying when Prince plays more than 28 minutes, his shot starts to go south. So now what? Wouldn't you rather use the guy that's in his early 20s and have him maybe step up? There's no choice here, guys. There's no choice. Use the guys. Use them up at this point. You have no choice. So stop doing this changing out. We know that D'Angelo Russell is terrible with Austin. So don't put those guys together.
So let me ask you this. When it comes to other players on other teams, I got a couple more teams in mind that have been bandied about. Malcolm Brogdon and Jeremy Grant of the Portland Trailblazers.
Grant makes too much money and Brogdon is too injured.
You could trade for Grant because he's $27 million this year. I looked it up. But you got another 5 years on the books with him.
You're going to have to give up, let's say, if you don't want to give up Austin, you have to give up Rui, D'Angelo, and likely a first-round pick. Why does Portland do that? What does that do for them?
Helps them win more games when they're trying to tank.
They still have Rui's contract, right? They don't really. If you said that Rui had a 1-year contract for this year and that's it, then you can look at it as, okay, well, we get off the books on Jeremy Grant, but that's not going to happen.
Grant's on the books for 5 years.
Right. So unless they wanted to get rid of that contract, they're going to need to get expiring contracts. Yep. But that's not, what are you going to do? You're going to put in Austin Reaves? Now because he's a little bit more talented. It doesn't sound realistic to me that would be a trade they make. I think if they wanted to get rid of Jeremy Grant, get out of that deal, they're going to want to go get a couple of expiring contracts, throw some draft picks in there, and then call it a day. They're not going to go and bring in a guy that's making $17 million and then they only come out $10 million less. I don't see that unless the Lakers were able to send 2 or 3 first-round picks or something like that.
Last team on the list that I have on the books would be San Antonio, another place of misery right now for NBA fans. You got Zach Collins, Trey Jones, Cedi Osman, and Devontae Graham have all been mentioned in talks with the Lakers.
I don't know I don't know if this is their agents pulling this BS, but I wouldn't touch a single player on that team at all.
So
Obviously,
definite no's.
obviously we know there's one guy there, but that's not ever gonna, that he's never gonna be traded. But Keldon Johnson has some appeal, but do you want to pay him? Pay Keldon 20 mil or so for the next 4 years or three and
Is
a
he
half
worth
years?
it?
Is he
That's
worth it? Is it worth the risk? Now, the other thing is Popovich going to trade him to the Lakers? Absolutely not. Not unless he.
so many teams hate the Lakers.
Yes, and again, we're my disdain for Greg Popovich stems from his whining about the Paul Gasol trade, and he one-upped it over and over and over again. Popovich has him and Steve Kerr have the same. Steve Kerr's more diplomatic. Popovich's more drill instructor. But these guys are both sissy lalas when they don't get their way. They judge others, yet still cry that you shouldn't judge them.
So, if that's the case, my friend, when you talked about Austin Reaves and his value to other teams because he has a very affordable contract, can score 17 to 20 points a game on a regular basis, can do a little bit of playmaking, although that gets him into trouble the more you ask him to do, as we've seen. And then, of course, his defense is, I guess, beauty to the eye of the beholder. Right now, it doesn't look so beautiful, which is the reason why he was put down to the bench. But most likely, at some point in time, the not too distant future, will be back as a starter again. Your thoughts, though? Some have him listed as untouchable and untradeable. Others, like myself, see it more realistically, that, hey, he's a undrafted guy. You signed up. He's worked out well. He's a one-time starter on a playoff team. He could very well be a starter again in the league. You might want to go and look and see what you can get for him as a player who can start in the NBA for many, many teams. So your thoughts on my friend, is Austin Reaves an untradeable player?
No one is untradeable
To
on
the
this
different
team.
levels. I mean, Vanderbilt, you can't trade because of when you signed him to that extension. Uh, AD magically is available for a trade the day of the trade deadline. And then, of course, LeBron is just too expensive. And if LeBron
I'll
doesn't
use
want
an
to go, he
example.
doesn't
I'll
want to go.
use an example of why Austin is not untradeable. Obviously, AD and LeBron are untradeable at this moment. LeBron more because he's in the twilight of his career and no one's going to really drop talent and draft picks for someone who's at the end here, right? AD obviously still being in his prime and on his way to win the Defensive Player of the Year award, at least if these idiot voters do it the right way. I'd say if I had to give an example of trading Austin Reaves and being on the come up, it would have to be something like something tragic, which it's always someone demanding a trade, right? It's a
It'd have to be
star.
a player that makes
It
you
would have,
say, wow.
yeah, it would have to be a star that's like what Kyrie did. I want out. I don't care what you say, and I want to go here. Okay, it'd be Trae Young. Somebody like Trae Young. You package something for Trae Young.
That would make you get interest.
Absolutely. Because you get somebody like Trae Young he hasn't even hit his prime yet. He is still pretty badass playing with AD and LeBron with his talent. Ooh. Our depth would be a problem, but
I mean, our depth is a problem now. We thought it would be a lot better than it was.
Yeah, but
than it
LeBron,
is.
but in a playoff series with a player who can shoot and distribute, with a player who can distribute and get to the hole, LeBron and AD, who can do both front, back, side, up, down. I'll take those three in a 7-game series with very little depth for 1 year. I'll take it. You can't have everything, guys. I'm just going by common sense and how that would work out. You give me Trae Young, you give me AD and LeBron, and they're not burnt out. out of the 5 players on that team in a close game. Imagine LeBron, who loves to make the right play. Imagine that. Loves to make the right play. Imagine him doing one of these to Trae Young for the shot to win. I feel much better giving it to Trae Young. And he's not going to, and Trae Young's going to be hitting 90% from the free throw line, so that helps too.
But you would need a hardcore defender alongside, or 2 alongside them. I'm just going to say
you would need one more guy, at least on the perimeter, that could play some defense, to at least give AD some kind of
that could score 10 points a game. 10
some
points.
kind of breather. Whatever that is, try to find one dog in the league.
We don't want to hate too much on Reddish. I don't want to hate too much on Reddish, but if he cannot give you 10 points a game.
Okay. Reddish's game improves with Trae Young on that team as well.
I hope so.
Okay, because you have no choice. You're not going to get a dog that can shoot unless you want to drop 30, 40 million. And by the way, we talked about this already. 3-and-D guys do not exist. The last legit 3-and-D guy was Klay Thompson. 3-and-Ds are not, they don't, if you're talking about, when you say 3-and-D, you're talking about elite, right? The elite 3-and-D guys, only Klay Thompson that comes to my head. Most are.
But he can't do D anymore like he used to.
No, it's tragic. It's tragic. His whole half side of his body is shredded, guys. If one of those injuries had happened, he could probably play close to the old Klay at this point, but he's not. It's unfortunate. He can't get the elevation that he used to have. He can't go back and forth and pivoting and moving his ankle in a circular way or any way. The guys, these tendons are gone. They've been reconstructed. It's not what it was before. And a lot of times, players like Derrick Rose and Klay Thompson, the reason why they get those injuries is they're playing with so much torque in their game. It's what makes them great, that the body eventually says, I can't stay together anymore. I mean, Derrick Rose, when he was in his prime, was one of the most electrifying physiques that moved on a basketball court. He played like a big man at the guard position. Unless you're Barry Sanders, who's the only freak I've ever seen twist, turn, discombobulate. I don't know what the hell that guy used to do with his ankles and hips and knees. I still, to this day, have never seen a human being do the things he did and not get injured and look like a complete normal guy off the field.
But it is, of course, the Lakers Fast Break. It is Joe Soro, me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks so much for watching, listening. Truly appreciate it. Again, I don't think that Austin Reaves is untradeable, and I don't think that we should have the mindset he's untradeable, but it should take a lot for us as a unit, as a team, as an organization before they decide to go ahead and trade Austin Reaves. I'll just leave it at that. So I ask you this, my friend, before we head on out and before I tell you my shopping experience in LA. By the way, and I've got a little bit of bone to pick with you too. Before we head on out. But Jamie Sweet said something controversial on yesterday's show. He said, and I quote, that having Russell Westbrook in his current state, or that how he was playing with the Lakers at least, is a better option than D'Angelo Russell. So I ask you, my friend, who would you rather have at this point? The enigma that is Russell Westbrook, or the enigma that is D'Angelo Russell?
So the question I want to ask Jamie is, so you're asking me if I prefer to drown or to die in a fire?
There's no way I would want Westbrook back.
The next question is who's the fire and who's the drowning guy, right?
Yeah,
they're both horrific.
That's crazy. Absolutely
both horrific, because each one does something that the Lakers need, right? So D'Angelo is great at shot making when he's making shots. Russell's availability is probably his greatest attribute, and those even out. Problem is, Russell can't score. Russell makes too many mistakes. D'Angelo can score when he's in his mode, but he can't guard anybody and has concussions for some weird reason or whatever the hell he has now. I mean, basketball players play basketball because they don't want to play football, and I get that. I get it. But this particular time of basketball player is borderline. You might as well just go play tennis. I mean, some of these guys are the biggest freaking pussies that come around. The second they get elbowed, it's like somebody poked them with a hot poker from the fireplace. I mean, Jesus, relax. And LeBron, I'm sorry to say, is one of the big culprits of that. It's like, dude, how many times are you gonna fall down like somebody hit you with a bat? You're 6'8". You're this guy who brags that he's 6'8" and 200. I think he even said he's 270 pounds. Dude, play like you're 6'8", 270. Then stop being a bitch.
So I take it your answer is, either
my answer is death.
Yes, the answer is
So
death.
let's say we're doing a movie, and door number 1 is D'Angelo Russell. Door number 2 is Russell Westbrook, and then door number 3 is death. I would take door number 3.
Different choices.
Kobe D.
Yeah, I think it's Kobe.
LeBron will likely be the most accomplished NBA player of all time, especially if he plays 2 or 3 more years. But there's only 2 players I've ever watched in my time, and Shaq had a little bit of it for about a 3 or 4 year window. I was in awe of Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant. I've never seen anybody play basketball like those 2 guys. They had no weaknesses. They were ferocious. They could make a December game interesting. They were, in terms of talent and what they accomplished, better than anyone I've ever seen. I don't say Magic and Bird as much, even though I grew up being a Magic fan. I got the tail end of Magic, and I know Magic was so unique that you could put him in there as well. He had a magic about him that was just, I still don't see it. He's the only guy I've ever seen that did what he did. And then, of course, Larry Bird. I probably related more to a Larry. I would probably relate more to a Larry Bird in terms of personality and how I would be about playing. I think Bird was just a freaking mean human being. I love mean athletes that are great. That just makes me happy. Larry Bird, Michael Jordan, Shaq, Kobe, they were mean. And even that early 2000 Laker 3-peat team, you look at Robert Horry, you look at Rick Fox, you look at Derek Fisher, those guys were mean when they got mad. It was so fun to watch. I miss it. I miss it so much.
Well, thanks so much again, everybody, for joining us here today. If you have any thoughts, you can always leave it down below in the comments or Lakers Fast Break on social media or LakersFastBreak@yahoo.com. But before we head on out, and Zangerstein, truly appreciate everything that you do for us here at the Lakers Fast Break. We'll hopefully see you soon. Want to go ahead and let you know, Joe, I recently went to Southern California area last week. And yes, all their hotels have the same gaudy extra taxes and fees that every other major hotel in and out of Las Vegas has. So you can't get me on that when it comes to Las Vegas anymore, because every hotel now does it, just to let you know.
Well, now they do, because they have to pay for Ballmer's monstrosity in Inglewood. They have to pay for SoFi. Oh, don't worry. It's part of that setup. I know it. I don't like Vegas, not because of their taxes.
No, I'm just saying just that one part of it.
I'll tell you what I don't like. So LA is, to me, a bigger Vegas in a lot of ways. It's just spread out a little bit in terms of its taking advantage of people. The reason why I don't like Vegas is they promote family atmosphere when they have skanks on the streets in the daytime.
You said this before. Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Until that stops, I'm not gonna relent from that. LA, LA has lost its soul the last 3-4 years. COVID ripped it out of them. They were already kind of stupid anyways before, but they became even more dumb after COVID, and they haven't really recovered from that. And a lot of these taxes and a lot of these extra things that you see in and around town is to make up for all the things they lost for being stupid.
So with that in mind, okay, and no, Kurt, I did not do that. I did go there for Universal Studios and some other stuff around Southern California.
Yes, Kurt, that's exactly why I went there.
No, that's not why.
Yeah.
One of the things I did go for is to go check out some merchandise actually at the Crypto.com arena it was the day after the Charlotte game. So I head on over there and you figured, okay, it's the Lakers home place. Got a lot of people coming in and out. Got Michigan and Alabama fans coming in there, which they were. Got tourists from all over the world, which they were. I saw people from the Philippines, saw people from Japan walking in there, all wanting Lakers merchandise at the Crypt in their LA gear store. But you know what, Joe? All it was in the LA gear store was filled up with Clippers stuff. Clippers merchandise was throughout the entire store because it was a Clippers home game that night. So they basically took aside and took into the back all the Kings and Lakers stuff. I saw a little side door where they had stuffed jerseys, yellow and gold jerseys, gold and purple jerseys, just like sticking out, like really tacky and really cheap to try and make it a full Clippers experience. Nobody in there. I was there for half an hour. Nobody wanted Clipper stuff. They all wanted Laker stuff. So the sign says go to El Segundo near the UCLA Health practice facility. So I made the trek out there. And wouldn't you know, several of these people did as well. Not everybody, of course. So that's lost money right there. So you go into the small, very small. Now, Joe, have you been to the Universal City Walk and seen the LA Dodgers store?
Yes.
That's pretty big. That's pretty darn big, isn't it?
Yes.
You think a Lakers store could support something that size?
I've been surprised that there hasn't been a store, a Lakers
You and I
store.
both.
They had a Raiders store there. I don't know if it's there anymore.
Oh,
and then they had
there's two Raider stores here in Las Vegas.
There might be a deal that might have not gone through. That's probably likely that the Lakers decided that they didn't want that. I'm pretty sure that's why.
So you know what they have, Joe, right?
The Lakers are number one. They're above USC, UCLA, the Clippers. Dodgers are very popular. Don't get me wrong, but I'm sorry, Lakers are just a slight bit above the Dodgers.
So you and I agree on that. But you know what you have as far as a Lakers official store? It's in El Segundo. It's near the UCLA Health Center, near the Lakers team facility. In fact, it's actually just 2 doors down. But it's the tiniest store you would ever think for a retail store for the Los Angeles Lakers. It's, I don't know, just you can count in hundreds of square feet. It's not very big at all, which was the first shocking thing that was there. The second of all is when you go inside and you look at the designs, most of which are straight out of the Fanatics store, which is fine. Okay, take it. But remember, there's tourists from all around the world wanting Kobe Mamba jerseys, Rui Hashimura jerseys, people willing to spend $500, $600, $700, $800 on these jerseys. And of course, they don't have it in stock. They're all sold out. And there's no impetus, seems like no rush to get it. Now, the guys at the LA Lakers gift store, they were pretty cool to deal with. But it's like we just don't get them in. So you go look around to see what they have. Again, it's a very small store. You look to see what they have. And when you like a design, it's only in very limited sizes. Joe, small or triple extra large are not the options for most people, but yet they have racks and racks of these with very limited of options with very limited sizes. I was very disappointed by what I saw. That to me is very disappointing for a team, like you said, is supposed to be the biggest thing in all of Los Angeles.
So maybe they take on the Jordan Kobe marketing method of limit limit the supply, create the demand to the point where
Nintendo is, yeah, but
right.
you can go online and you can get all the stuff.
And maybe that's what they want you to do. Because it doesn't make sense. Why wouldn't you have something that the market is telling you that they want to come get? Maybe it's greed, maybe it's creating a demand at all times. It'd be something to talk to Jeannie about if you're having drinks with her and Jay Moore and, maybe watching a movie with them. Maybe they're not aware of it. I know this is hard for some people to understand, but because people are so enamored with people being rich and how much they hate that people get too rich because they feel like they should have some too. It's worse. You'd be surprised at how stupid really rich people are.
I mean, there were people wanting to drop a lot of money on Hashimura stuff, and there was nothing in the entire store on Hashimura because the guy said that they sold out there 4 straight times. I guess 4 straight racks full of Hashimura jerseys because people from Japan are buying it like hotcakes. But yet you can go now. I looked this up. You can go right now to the fan store, or Fanatic store, or I don't know right now, but back then on last week, you could have gotten a Hashimura jersey right around $60.
I know that supply could be a problem. Shipping the supply could be a problem. But if it's a Lakers store, then what? These guys are worth billions of dollars. Why?
I
Why
mean,
would that be
and
a
you're
problem?
you're literally just 3 doors down from the UCLA Health Center where you can walk over there, talk to whoever, if you're running the place.
I think this is a good question to ask the PR and
Yeah.
marketing company that runs the Lakers. I think that would be an interesting question.
All I know is when I was running department stores or I was running stores, period, and I had issues with my inventory, I would bother and just bother the hell out of anybody to get what I needed sent to me ASAP.
When was this?
It doesn't matter when I was going. Oh, first of all, when I was running game stores and we were running out of GTA 4, we were running out of certain games. We needed
Games
certain
don't
games.
count. I'm
Okay,
talking about apparel.
on apparel for when I was running Montgomery Ward, when I was a GM for Montgomery
That was
Ward.
in the 90s, right?
It's 99 to 2001.
Yeah,
So,
that's a different. That's
well,
a different.
but we're more modern now, Joe. The coronavirus has ended. The supply chain.
I haven't bought a pair of shoes live in years. I buy all my shoes online.
Yeah, but there's still plenty of shoe stores in town. You can get these things. Supply
No, I
chains are
can't.
not
I
a
can't
problem.
get what I want in the shoe stores. I've gone to Foot Locker. I've gone to Champs. I've gone to the Nike store. I went to go get the Kobe 4s. I knew they weren't going to be in. I was just kind of checking it out when I
Oh,
was in New York.
I know NV2 and 13 that there is more margin in the online store. But remember, when you go to a Lakers gear store, expect to pay the full MSRP. Nothing's on sale there. I saw there's nothing on sale. You go there, you pay for the MSRP. You're paying for the full experience to buy at the official Lakers team store. Again, there's people wanting to drop a lot of money, and it's just like seemingly when you don't give them what they want in any shape or form there, it just is disappointing.
I don't give a crap.
I'm just telling you. But again, you told me yourself, the Lakers, and you and I both know this from our experience living in Southern California. The Lakers are number one. And it's just so surprising that the Lakers don't have a larger facility that provides more consumers with more products.
Maybe people feel the same way I do,
That
but
they
we
just
should investigate it for
uh,
fun. I think it'd be something interesting, something different to ask the Lakers brass. I think it'd be something that would be not as threatening, right?
yeah.
Something that wouldn't get you your credentials taken away for. So here's what you do. You go to a Laker event and you happen to run into the marketing director or let's say the PR person. Remember John Black? He was the main guy, the popular guy for a long time. He's not there anymore, but whoever the new PR guy is. So you go to the PR guy and you go, listen, or lady, and you go, I have a question, kind of a different question. I want to talk to the marketing director. I want to talk to the marketing manager, whomever's in charge of marketing and apparel and clothing, whatever. I want to know why there isn't a larger store for the Lakers. There's one in Universal City for the Dodgers, and they have one there that's for the Raiders. A Raiders team that hasn't been in LA since 1995. That doesn't make any sense. How do the Lakers not have a store? Lakers own LA. Why is there not another store? Why isn't there a bigger store, I should say? What's the reason? I'm just curious. I'm not going to go make an article. I'm not going to go, talk to the media. I'm not. I'm just curious why. And then maybe find out your answer that way. Maybe write them a letter. Gerald, you should write them a letter.
That would
require
work,
tonight,
my friend.
Send it to them and say, I am curious, why isn't there a large store at Universal City or here or there, wherever it is? Disneyland? Why not? I see more Laker gear at the Wingstop than I do at these stores. Why? This is something we have to know. This is crucial. Crucial. We need to know this.
Let's get to 10,000 followers first, so that before we go ahead and deal with that issue. Let's get some weight behind us.
Instead of these pertinent issues and important issues, for some reason, I'm scrolling on social media and I'm getting announcements of celebrities getting divorced. That's important.
I don't use ChatGPT, Dante. Sorry. I've got 3 shows I got to take care of on a constant basis each and every week, up to 10 podcasts a week. So I keep as busy as I can. I deal with those first and foremost. But yeah, if we get up to a large enough voice, you never know. I may just pursue it. You never know. We'll see. But it is Joe Soro trying to stir the pot, as he always does. Go ahead and check him out today at, of course, as Oxide 247. Yes. I mean, I can't believe, though, that the Dodgers, it's a nice store. They even have one, Joe, on the Fashion Show Mall, a Dodgers store there at Las Vegas, to give you an idea how big the Dodgers are. They have one there that's larger than the Lakers store right next to the Lakers facility. That's how annoying this is. The Lakers don't even have a store that big as the one Dodger store in Las Vegas.
And it's going to get bigger if they win a championship next year or this year.
We'll see what happens. But it is the Lakers Fast Break. Truly appreciate you joining us. Joe will be talking as much Dodgers as he can, or he wants to, right here on this show, because you know that LA fans are out there, especially in a year that there's so much expectations on this team in the Dodgers, but also the Lakers. What can they do to right the ship? We'll know tomorrow, because the Lakers are hosting Miami. Several home games are on the docket here over the next few weeks, and we'll cover them all. But yes, the Lakers, before the end of the month, my friend, you expect them to have a good month, because this is the time, my friend. If it isn't, they don't have a good month now, man, those rumors will really be flying.
My confidence has waned a little bit. I wasn't expecting them to be 500 going into the new year. I was expecting 22 and 12, something like that. And they probably should have won 5 more games had they had any kind of competency in how to run a last-second shot and stop passing the ball to make the right play, missing layups, giving LeBron the ball 15 feet from the basket so he has to turn. I mean, just 5 games that you should have won changes the whole scope of the season already. Think about that for a second. The difference between being 22 and 12 and 17 and 17. It's a huge difference. Those 5 games are huge. The only way you make up for those games, as I guess, make up for them, is you got to go on a double-digit winning streak. Are you going to do that playing Miami, Memphis, the Clippers, Toronto? Phoenix in the next 5 games. Can you win all 5 of those? You're playing every other day. I don't have to hear you cry and whine about a back-to-back. You're going to be playing every other day for the next month. Think about that for a second. You're going to be playing every other day for 25 days. Your next back-to-back isn't until the 29th and the 30th of this month.
Telling you, this is the time for them to get well. If they don't get well by the end of this month, then the rumors are really going to start to heat up, Joe.
You have no solution to the problem. What do you do when there's no solution to the problem?
Got to find out and wait and
Who are
see.
you going to get? This is why it's important. This is why when you do your research, you have to make sure you get this one right. This is the NBA. This is probably the hardest job in sports, is the NBA head coach. Even GMs don't get it. Even NBA GMs don't get it. So, who are you going to get? You going to go get Rajon Rondo? Sam Cassell? Can an assistant coach leave a current team to go head coach? I've never heard that. Who are you going to get?
Only unless, Ham is fired. I've heard it.
Terry Stotts? Who?
Yeah, not for a playoff team, but for some but for some teams, let's say mid-level or below. I've only heard.
I'm not saying it's not going to happen either.
Yeah.
If he wins, let's say if they lose the next 5 games, yeah, you're right. That seat is going to be burning. But who? Are you going to let Phil Handy finish the season? Yeah, that's not good either. So
There's
you're going to have to fire
Phil
him.
Handy hasn't gotten the top spot.
Yeah, you're going to have to fire him to just get him out of the way. It won't be to. Okay, so that's a good one, Dante. So Nate McMillan is out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Could he? I'm surprised we haven't mentioned him, actually.
Yeah, well, the reason why is he burned his bridges in Atlanta.
He has burned his bridges in 3 places. In Seattle, before there was Seattle, right?
Yep.
He burned his bridges in Portland, and he burned his bridges in Atlanta. The reason why, my understanding from what I've heard, is Nate McMillan is too old school for these guys. They get their butts hurt, their feelings hurt. But we have 2 veterans that are pretty reasonable. Do you see Nate McMillan helping out? Does it make a difference? I don't know.
Again, there's been a couple teams that have added assistant coaches in recent days, so it's a possibility that the Lakers could.
I'll tell you this. I'll tell you this again. I'm actually surprised we didn't bring up Nate McMillan. That might not be a bad backup if you absolutely had to fire him. That one, at least you have okay, here's a guy that had some success, not a lot, but some. Maybe he makes it right with a LeBron and an AD. But it's going to be tough. It'll be very, very tough. But Lakers have won championships, right? They've won championships being in coaching fluxes. We won in 1980. We won in 1982. Hey, who says that it couldn't happen again?
You never know. But it is Joe Soro. Check him out here at LakersBall.com, or, of course, everywhere he's at Simblades. Simblades with the Y.com. It's Gerald Glassford. Thanks so much again for watching this thing. We'll be back tomorrow. Of course, looking forward to the pregame. Also looking forward to the regular game itself, which is going to be the Lakers and Miami. Please go ahead and join us, playback.tv/Lakers Fast Break. And then, of course, the best post game in town for the Lakers is, of course, always here. Any last thoughts, my friend, before we head on out? Yep. Waiting for it.
No.
There it is. It is. Thank you so much again for joining us on today's show. Truly appreciate it. What are you on that same chair? It's a little bit noisier than usual today.
I haven't sat in it for a while, so maybe it's squeaky from the cold.
Okay. All right. Well, but you seem to enjoy, from what I was seeing on the pictures, you seem to enjoy your experience at the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, it was wow. My family. I was born in Royal Oak, Michigan. I have my roots were born in Michigan, but I was young when my parents moved west, so I don't consider myself a Midwest guy.
A Michigonian.
Michigonian, but the roots are there. We used to visit every year for years when I was a kid as well. Just went back for a wedding. For those who don't know where Royal Oak is, it's kind of the suburb of Detroit. So sometimes I'll just say I'm from Detroit, just so people know where it is. That's funny, Kurt. We had a fix on that, and I'll tell you in a second. So my family are huge Michigan fans. I'm not a Michigan fan like that. They're fanatics. I was there for support. I put on the number 2. I put the hat on to support the fam. I love Nick Saban. I was kind of torn because I wanted him to win. So I figured, if anything, I was going to win either way, whoever won. However, I would rather have had Michigan win because there was being with my cousins I truly believe that our family is as tight as any family out there, and it was a euphoria that you can't measure when you have that kind of excitement with your blood with you. And the fact that we were around 96,514 people, counting ourselves, ass to ass, cheek to cheek, hip to hip, from every corner, from every end. And we were all there like we were all family. And the fact that the last plays, meaning the touchdown that Michigan scored to take the lead in overtime, and then the score that of it, or I should say the play that ended the game, which was the third botched center hike to end the game. We were right there. We were right there. It was on our side of the end zone, and we were able to get good footage of it. We were able to get the euphoria of a stadium that just was electric. It was the most electric feeling you can have, and it worked out as perfect as it could have worked out. It'll be one of the best college football games ever, and it also was a precursor to what ended up happening at my house once we got out of the parking situation. So, Kurt, one of us had to take the hit in parking. Why? Because we tailgated. So one side of the cousin side had to go in and park so that when we got there, we could tailgate. We, the group I was with, parked on the street and we walked 1 mile to the stadium. It took us 20 minutes power walking up a hill to get out of there. It took my other cousins who were stuck in parking an hour and a half to get out. But they got back. They gave us enough time to go get food. We came back, and 4 of my cousins jumped in my freezing ass 53-degree pool in their underwear to celebrate. And then, of course, I had my wife turn on the jacuzzi and turn the heat on about an hour before we arrived. So the jacuzzi was nice and warm. They jumped in, probably got God knows what kind of cold at that point, but were able to jump into the jacuzzi, and we had a jolly good time, ate food, drank, and had one of the more legendary evenings that you can have as a sports fanatic and a sports crowd. Now, I'm being coaxed into possibly driving to AZ, where most of my cousins live, to watch the national championship game at my cousin's house. So it's very likely I will be celebrating that particular game next Monday in Arizona.
Once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is Joe Sorrell. Please go ahead and check him out as Ox1947 at LakersBall.com. And of course, his company, Simblades, Simblades with a Y.com. Please support him so that he can get a better chair that's less squeaky, because he needs all the help he can get. So please help him out at Simblades with the Y.com. But we'll be back tomorrow for all the festivities, of course, what's going on with the Lakers. Joe, if they lose tomorrow, the Lakers fall to 11th place in the Western Conference because Golden State won tonight.
Every loss from here on out is going to be a larger magnifying glass that's radiating the sun.
Well, they'll be tied technically, but yeah.
It is. Darvin Ham is got a lot. He's got a lot to think about here in the next few weeks. He can't have the excuse of back-to-back games anymore. He can't have the excuse of the tournament. He can't have the excuse that he has a mole up his ass. Doesn't matter what it is. They need to start winning. And they need to start winning 3 out of 4 games every week. So looking at this week, let's say starting the new year, you have a couple games, Miami and Memphis, both at home. You better win these 2 games. And then you got the Clippers on Sunday. Be nice to win that. But if you look at their schedule, let's say they win the next 2 games, that's a good start. You win 3 out of the next 4 the week after. The next week after that, which is January 15th through the 21st, you're going to be playing 4 games there, win 3 out of those 4. And then after that, 3 games, 4 games, 3. So 2 and 3, 3 and 4, 2 and 3. What does that give you? 2, 3, which is 5, 8, 10, 13. They have to win 15 games this month for this to get controlled correctly. Do you think they can do it?
Do I think they can do it? Right now, I have my doubts.
Yeah, because they would be losing.
I know what they need to do. Whether or not they do it is a different question.
They would be losing 5 games in that span. That's asking a lot, but that's what they would need to make up for some of the duds they've had.
I agree. And that's what they've got to do. Before they head out on that road trip at the end of this month, they do need to be, I'd say, at least 6 or 7 games above 500.
If they start losing like they've been losing for the next few weeks, things could get very interesting. The pressure is going to start mounting.
And it'll be home games. Yep, because most will be home games.
There's a lot of home games.
There'll be a lot of boos.
The Laker crowd is as pathetic as it's been probably ever.
Wow.
This year. They were showing footage of known people that half of them I didn't know who the hell they were. I'm pretty much in the know, guys. I'm tapped into that world. But they kept showing what looked like high-class trash. I'm like, this isn't a Laker game. This is a joke. These guys should be watching the Clippers. That's where these guys belong. But the Lakers have lost a little mystique. People don't. And you bring up who I would pick, Kobe or LeBron. And you're going to get the arguments of LeBron and Kobe and LeBron and Jordan. I go, guys, no one wanted to watch a December game or a January game against Toronto, except really when Jordan and Kobe were playing. This is not me saying this for feelings. It's just what it was. Those guys were there and they changed the needle. I haven't seen anyone, not LeBron, maybe Shaq a little bit, but not as much as Kobe. and Jordan, not Tim Duncan, not Kevin Garnett. I would say to some degree maybe Steph Curry, but I don't know. Maybe I'm not seeing it. Maybe I'm wrong, but maybe I'm just basing it off how I feel. I've never really got excited to go watch a LeBron game or a Steph Curry game or a Tim Duncan game or any of the major stars the last 20 years, 30 years. I've never had the same feeling I've had when it came to watching Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant play. Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan made you watch their games no matter what it was because you didn't know what was going to happen. You really didn't. And you were curious. Just like Stedman Graham, Oprah's significant other. There was a story Oprah said that, and the way she delivered the line, I could totally hear it. He's like, is Tom Brady? When is Tom Brady playing? I'm watching Tom play. That's another guy you had to watch. But football's a little easier. It's once a week, you know. It's a little easier to get excited about watching a singular player play. But that's the feeling of an icon of icons that you have to watch that guy play. Doesn't matter about the Lakers, the Bulls, the Patriots, the Bucks. It's that son of a gun. That guy moves that needle. And it doesn't matter if it's on a Monday, a Wednesday, a Sunday, or on Mars. You want to watch that son of a gun play. And to me, at the end of the day, that's when you get your time and your money worth at its highest peak.
I'll tell you what, though, my friend, it's been great having you on tonight's show. Truly appreciated. It is Joe Sorrell. Thanks so much again for joining us here at the Lakers Fast Break. Tomorrow, we'll be back with more great thoughts and great stuff right here for you as far as what we can deliver pregame, postgame, during the game with playback.tv, Lakers Fast Break. Dante says they were different. Christmas 90s, you were different. Davis hit a clutch three that beat the Bulls. Everybody was watching that. Jordan was just different. Kobe just had us jumping out the chair with his shot making. It is kind of a different time right now. Last time I felt that kind of energy, I think, was when we all needed it when the Lakers won in the bubble in 2020. But it's really been hard to match that at any point since Kobe has left us. I think that's part of the reason why that.
Yeah, there was. I don't know if it's a generational. That's always the excuse and the cop out that, oh, well, it's a generational thing. It's that thing. I don't know. I think it's a personality thing. I think that's what it is. I just prefer the killers. Look, Tom Brady played up until a year and a half ago. He was a killer. He was a killer well into the late 10s and part of the early 20s. Most of these players are not. They're friends. They're grab-assing after they lose a game. They're tickling each other's, belly buttons and talking about how they're good friends. I prefer get out of my face or not even saying anything. If you lose a series, you want to show good sportsmanship, that's different. That's completely different. You give your appreciation. You let them go their way. That's different. There's a completion there. Congratulations. But when you're in battle still, when you're going after it.
Yeah, Laquan, we're not even touching we already saw on the show Draymond that's crazy. We're not even touching the Kevin Durant rumors that, that one.
Simple answer to that is Kevin Garnett has been chasing something that he's probably never going to get.
Kevin Durant, you mean? You said Kevin Garnett.
I'm sorry, Kevin Durant. Sorry, yeah, Kevin Durant. And that is validating his championships. If you look at the the change in his personality from Oklahoma City to after Golden State, he turned into a broken man. Because all those comments, the term burner account started with Kevin Durant. I never heard the word burner account. I'm like, what the hell's a burner account? Kevin Durant cared so much about the noise, it destroyed the great person and the great attitude he had into a complete, just grumpy guy. Became grumpy all the time, a resentment, a constant resentment in any interview he does or any discussion you have with him. He let the crowd break him. It's sad. It's sad that you allow strangers who have no reason to make you feel empty. What are you worried about? You're worried about a bunch of nobodies that 99% of them are losers, what they think? Why do you care? And then you hear words like, well, I left because of, or at least that's the rumor, you left because of Draymond Green. You're telling me you go up to management, you go up to the owner, and you're like, listen, I'm going to sign an extension with you guys, but you got to get rid of this guy. You tell me they wouldn't have got rid of Draymond Green? Come on. You didn't leave because of Draymond Green. It's because you want to go win a championship on your own. You let the noise dictate your life. Don't ever do that. They're going to find something. They found something with LeBron. They found something with you. They're starting to find something with Giannis now. This is what happens. They try to do it to Michael Jordan in the 90s. Obviously, Kobe made a major mistake in 04. He never was able to live it down. You know, this is the way it is. You get too big. Look what happened to Tiger Woods. The only guy that's been clear in his entire existence that's famous as a sports guy is probably Bo Jackson. And even he didn't last. Maybe they would have found something on him if he had stayed longer. He's the only one of that magnitude.
Yeah, the Kobe issue in 2004. That's. I don't want to get into that because we approached that issue once a long time ago, and there are definite sides.
Gerald. The thing is, it's hard to discuss because we weren't there.
Yeah, so you don't know. I mean,
you don't know what happened, but
there was a settlement. So, but that doesn't mean there's guilt. So
right. The reason why there's settlements, and I talked to my lawyer friend about this. I have a lot of conviction and a lot of emotion.
Hopefully
when
not
it comes
to not a lawsuits.
Right. So when you deal with a civil lawsuit, because my friend Kevin is a lawyer in San Diego. He's the only human being on the planet I've never been able to break in a ball busting way. He's a freaking brick wall. He's not human in a lot of ways to me. Sometimes. He said, "You say that now." That's his saying. Oh, you say that now, and if you don't listen to your lawyer, you're a stupid idiot. Because you're going to jail if you don't listen to your lawyer. Like that's one of those times where he gets a little like it's not because he's a lawyer that he's got to turn into that guy. It's more of stop being stupid and pay attention to what I'm saying. This is what I do for a living. You're gonna settle, otherwise you're screwed. You're playing with fire. Relax. Don't do what Ted Bundy did and represent yourself. So the Kobe thing, kind of staying away from the details of the situation. It's more about the fact that he put himself in an area, regardless of guilt, that he should have been smart enough not to do. And he validated the concerns of the people around him who told him to be careful on top of it. that's the human error. That's the human stubbornness. The same thing in a lot of ways that makes you great at whatever you do is the same reason why it'll also take you down. Kobe Bryant's end in the NBA. What was the end? When did it start?
As far
Golden
as when it's,
State,
yeah.
torn Achilles, right?
Yep.
Now, we were sad. I was sad. I even wrote some really lame post on Facebook. I remember reading it like a week later. I was like, God, that was really, really, yeah. I go, but this is the only way this would have ended. This wasn't going to be a happy ending. The guy was too ferocious. Jordan, he had to leave before he was ready to leave because he was too ferocious. Shaq, as ferocious as he was, he accepted his deterioration. Whereas guys like Kobe and Jordan, I don't know necessarily if they were able to do that.
No.
So Palomalu is usually the only guy I use in that example of longevity. I said, I saw a human being do things I've never seen any football player do, except maybe Barry Sanders. And I go, this guy's not going to last. It's too decimating what this guy does in a game that's already very, very hard. And really, he had 10 good years out of the 12. He struggled those last couple of years. He just, his body just wouldn't allow him to do what he did. And of course, things ended badly with even the Steelers. So all in all, again, life is an interesting thing, and as far as KD, going back to the subject at hand, KD's not coming to LA for not only the reason, the fact that Phoenix wouldn't trade him there anyways. It's just him playing with LeBron would be a worse sellout decision than even him going to Golden State.
It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. The Lakers. The Lakers are likely going to have to either play through this and get to where they want to go, or they're going to have to get the deal of a century that Pelinka's going to be able to put together with somebody. Other than that, I think those are the only two choices you have.
Once again, it's the Lakers Fast Break. We'll be on tomorrow for the game against Miami. Go ahead and join us for all the action there. Truly appreciate it. But Joe is here. Hopefully he'll be with us tomorrow as well. Again, if you have any questions for us or comments, please leave it below after the show, or go ahead on our social media, Lakers Fast Break, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. Doesn't matter. We're all there. So go ahead and check us out indeed. But Joe, great to have you here. Again, we talked about all the trade targets. The only one we seem to have a definite no on is definitely Draymond Green. Yeah, definitely no for the Lakers. But looking forward to seeing what happens the rest of this month. Now the Lakers have got a lot of home games. Does that mean a lot of good home cooking for the Lakers? We'll find out right here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast.